In this video, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into this idea of decomposition. If you remember, decomposition is the process of taking this larger intellectual task and breaking it down into smaller, more manageable tasks. If you remember, we actually did this with our steeplechase program, where we took this kind of big intellectual problem of how do we make Karel do the steeplechase, and we broke it down into smaller and smaller methods. We made a method called ascend hurdle and a method called descend hurdle, and then we even broke those down further by using our base Karel commands. Now, that was a coding example of how decomposition works, but we actually use decomposition pretty often in our day-to-day life too. And to get that point across, I'm going to share with you a bit of a kind of real-life example. I'm going to describe to you everything that I did from the moment I opened my eyes this morning to when I arrived here at school. So let's see, what did I do? I got out of bed. That's probably what I did first. I got dressed. I brushed teeth. I left apartment. And I drove to work. That's pretty comprehensive. I don't actually eat breakfast, so that's pretty much my morning. Now, this is a pretty common way to describe what you do in the morning. I gave a decent amount of detail, but I didn't give too much detail. I could have given more detail. Could I have described the specifics of how I brushed my teeth, for instance? Let's say that to brush my teeth, the first thing I did was got out toothbrush. Then I maybe put on toothpaste. And I can get even more detail than this. I can say moved toothbrush in circular pattern, right? Like, you see where I'm kind of going with this. It's a pretty common thing that when we're describing things that happen in our actual lives, we actually have some sense of how much detail we should be giving somebody. Usually, you give about 4 to 8 things. The idea is to get a big picture idea of what the person is asking you about. I'm not going to say that I squeezed my toothpaste with 1.2 newtons of force to get it on my brush that approximately put 0.75 ounces of toothpaste onto my 147 bristles. That's just too much detail, and quite frankly, detail that nobody cares about. So just like there's a guideline for how we kind of decompose our thoughts and our actions to other people when we're describing them, there's a similar sort of guideline for how you decompose code. When you're making a method, the basic guideline you want to go by is that method should be about 2 to 8 lines long. Now, this isn't an exact rule, but if you stick by this guideline, you'll make it so that your code ends up being fairly readable. If you end up going too far, aka you're making a method that's 15, 16 lines long, that method is now pretty complicated. All the way on the other end, there's really no point in making a method that's only a single line long. The idea behind what we did with steeplechase was we were using this principle of top-down design. Our very top-level run method started with, I'm going to do 8 hurdles. We gave the big picture first. Then we continually broke that down into more and more methods. And if you actually go back and look at that program, you can see that we really stuck to this 2 to 8 lines long for each method rule. I'm pretty sure most of our methods had about 4 to 5 lines in them. This is the main principle of decomposition. It's this idea of taking this big intellectual task and breaking it down into smaller problems. And now hopefully you have a sense of kind of what that breaking down will look like. So we're going to continue to use lots of decomposition as we go forward and send Karel on a bunch more adventures that will be really fun to see.